Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up. Weekdays catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pascal Show. I apologize for the later show, but we had some things going on. We had some other stories and topics to talk about, and I've been a very busy boy, okay? I've been a very busy man today, also as well as my good friend, Christopher. He'll be on here with us in just a moment here. But we have all just been so damn busy, y'all. I don't know about you guys, but it's Monday, and it feels like I feel like I'm in the middle of the week right now with the amount of work that's just kind of piling on right now as we speak. All right. But I hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful Monday, enjoying your day, making it wonderful, making it positive, doing something dope with your day. Okay. Hopefully your weekend was positive, and hopefully you're kicking this week in the butt, in the rear, making it scream out your damn name. You see what I'm saying? Okay? So we got a very, very short show for you guys today. We got a very short one, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on the story that I did as a pop-up video yesterday. We got to talk about this. I do have a show planned on to go live later on this evening on something completely different. I will be giving you guys a little bit of a teaser on that here throughout the show. So strap in, get comfortable. If you got coffee, if it's still morning time for you, please enjoy that coffee. If it's nighttime, enjoy that libation, but please drink responsibly, okay? Please drink responsibly. And of course, you know the procedure. We got to get things moving. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Do that for me. Crush it, okay? And do not forget to hit that subscribe button, y'all. All right? Marching our way towards 100,000 subscribers. Working hard out here in these dumb streets for your ass. Okay? So please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Support the channel. Hit that Patreon. Send the ticker down below. Or hit that join button, okay? And become a member and just support this channel, okay? It's fairly simple. Fairly simple, y'all, okay? Fairly simple requests, okay? I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man with simple needs and desires, okay? Like keeping my lights on. So support the channel if you can, okay? Anyway, we got to jump into this now. I already did a pop-up video about this, sort of, yesterday. I mean, there's more to this story. It's getting even crazier, revolving around AH and JD. Yes, we're talking about it again, dag nabbit. I know it's the song that doesn't end. Now it's the song that doesn't end. At first, it was the gift that keeps on giving. Now it is the song that doesn't end. You know what I'm saying? It just never stops. So we got to talk about this particular situation around this insurance companies, okay? Yesterday, I talked about this very quickly about how she was trying to turn to her insurance company, the New York Marine, asking them to basically fork over $1 million to pay Johnny Depp because she lost in this defamation trial, and she has to pay him in upwards of $10 million plus because she lost that defamation trial. Now, there's some new information that has been percolating over the past couple of days that, of course, we got to talk about. Some of y'all already seen the video on Popcorn Planet. Shout out to Andy. Go and check that out because it's a very thorough and very insightful video. We are going to be kind of circling back and talking about certain things that were probably already touched over there. But at the same time, and you might know somebody on here that's going to be on with us very shortly. This person might look very familiar to you because he was just on that very video talking about all of this as well. So before we jump into everything and get really, really nuts and messy here, let me bring in my brother, a new friend, a new member of the family. Please welcome Christopher Melcher to the show. What's good, my brother? How you doing, man?
Well, it's good to be here, Pascal, and it's been a busy kind of weekend. When I'm kind of seeing all this information, and what's great about the community here is that there's so much sharing of info, and all of this, I mean, minute detail all being put together. So I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. So now I can kind of summarize that for everybody, because it is super complicated with the history here of Amber and her insurance companies. But the main thing is that she was not truthful at that trial. Luckily, it didn't impact the decision, but she was not truthful about the insurance and the payment of her attorney's fees, and we can break that down very simply.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to having you break it down for us, because I did say it on my pop up. I was like, I hope that I get you back on the show to kind of explain a little bit more for us, so we can break it down a little bit more so that we know what's going on, right? And the funny thing is that when I did this pop up video yesterday, I was only talking about one insurance company. Apparently, there's another insurance company that's involved in this called Travelers Insurance. That now I'm kind of going, okay, who's suing who? What's going on here? And yeah, I got a slew of different questions to ask. But let's talk about New York Marine real quick. Now, I did talk about this in this pop-up video, Chris, just so you know. And in this video, I said, hey, they are suing Amber Heard for because they don't want to pay any more legal fees. They don't want to back her anymore. Can we talk a little bit about that? I know this is kind of circling back to an old video, but I want to get everybody kind of abreast before we move forward to the crazy stuff that I have here.
Yeah, I think it's important to see the foundation here. So
Yeah.
Amber had two insurance policies. And so one was probably some kind of primary insurance that covered her as a renter or homeowner and would have provided protection in case somebody gets injured on her property, that kind of stuff. And so that policy had a limit of coverage. And then she went out and got an excess policy that would kick in if the primary wasn't enough. And there's nothing unusual about that. A lot of people who have, some wealth will go get policies like that. So she has two policies, and each of them provided coverage for defamation. And that's just a common feature of these types of policies. I
Right.
kind of wonder now if insurance companies are going to try and change that, because it's very easy to defame people now online with social media and have it spread. Whereas many years ago, it was, not as easy to get the word out. So she has these policies, she gets sued, and she turns it over to the insurance company. That's what, it's there for. And Travelers Insurance, which I'm suspecting is the primary carrier, gives her the right to pick her own counsel. And
Ah,
so originally she picks, and that's unusual, but Travelers, and maybe, hey, shout out to them. That's like a pretty good coverage there.
right.
They said like, hey, you're getting sued out in Virginia. It's okay. You can pick your own counsel. So initially, Amber Heard picks Roberta Kaplan as her counsel. Now, Roberta Kaplan's got a lot of controversy. You can look under the story involving Governor Cuomo. And so she went through a tremendous amount of controversy that was exposed last year. And Amber Heard dropped Roberta Kaplan and replaced her with Elaine B. and friends, who were then her counsel. Now, Travelers paid now at least $6 million in attorney's fees to Amber's attorney to defend against the Johnny's suit in Virginia.
So just so I understand, the Travelers Insurance was the company that actually fronted her the money. They said, hey, you can pick any legal, and of course I'm recapping what you just said. You can pick any legal, any Esquire you'd like. She chose Roberta. And then see, this is what I'm confused about then, because then where does New York Marine come flying in? Because they obviously have their own personal opinions. They were trying to get her to be fronted or be represented by McAvoy or
Yeah.
McAvoy or something like that. She ended up firing them. That's where she found Elaine out here. So I'm confused as to like who's fronting what money and what teams are being backed by who.
Sure. So
Clarify
there are
that a little
two. there's two parts to insurance. One is a duty to defend
Mhm.
the insured, Amber, and then the other part is to indemnify if the insured has a judgment against her. So right now we're talking about the duty to defend. And Travelers said, "Hey, go, it's okay. Hire Elaine. We'll pay for it," and they do pay for it. New York Marine gets the claim, and it says, "Hey, we have a duty to defend." They warn her that, hey, if it's intentional conduct, we're not paying the judgment because insurance is for accidents, not for willfully, caused harm. It's just not insurable loss. So they're saying, hey, Amber, if it turns out that you did this intentionally and the jury finds you did this intentionally, we ain't paying Johnny the $1 million benefits that we have under our policy, but we have a duty to defend you because right now the jury hasn't made a verdict. We're going back in time a couple years.
Right.
So New York Marine says, yes, we will defend you, but we are going to select the counsel. And they do that because they want to control costs. They not that this counsel has any special relationship necessarily with the insurance company. The attorney has a duty to Amber, the legal duty to protect her, not the insurance company, but they're paying the bills. So they don't want to just say, here, go hire some $2,000 an hour lawyer and pay for it. Right. They want to contain this. So when I looked up this McAvoy firm, I mean, they're in Fairfax, Virginia. They look like a very serious law firm. So these people are legit. And so they said, we're willing to pay those fees at that law firm. And Amber says, no, I don't want them. I want Elaine. And New York Marine's like, well, too bad. Then this is what we're offering. It's very good counsel. You don't want it, then we're not going to pay you. And so that's the dispute between Amber and New York Marine.
So you're thinking, so if I'm correct, okay, she goes, I want Elaine. Sorry, that's how I say her name, but she wants Elaine, right? New York Marine says, no, we want McAvoy. She goes, no, forget you. I want Elaine. They say, New York Marine says, okay, fine. And they wash their hands clean of it and they walk away and they take their monies, or they still got skin in the game, because why would they sue Amber Heard right now for something that, say, they weren't coughing up anything for, because she was obviously not taking McAvoy?
Yeah, that's right. It's a great question. So New York Marine sued Amber Heard on Friday, not for money. They sued her for what's called declaratory relief, what in English means a declaration of rights by the court when two parties have a dispute that they can't figure out. So New York Marine went to federal court and said, hey, federal court, we issued this policy. We acknowledge that we have a duty to defend. We offered this really good counsel to Amber. She refused it. And we want you, federal judge, to agree that we did everything that we were supposed to under the policy, and we're not obligated to pay for any of Elaine's fees because we offered counsel, and that's all we had to do. Number two, they want the judge to rule that the conduct that Amber engaged in doing the op-ed was willful, and that they don't have to pay the $1 million, because Amber's going to New York Marine and saying, hey, here's the judgment, $10.35 million. I need you, New York Marine, to cut a check to Johnny Depp right now for $1 million, which I'm sure Johnny would, his team would love to receive that check. But New York Marine saying, we ain't going to pay that. It's not insured. It's willful. And so they want the federal court to rule on those two questions. Now, Travelers has sued. So Travelers has sued New York Marine saying, hey, we're out $6 million. We both insure the same person, Amber, and we think that you, New York Marine, should kick in $3 million, for half of this big bill. And
What?
New York Marine saying like, hey, we didn't, that's your deal. You decided to give her Elaine and run up $6 million in legal charges. We don't have any part of that.
Holy cow. Okay. Yeah. All right. The audacity of Team Heard then. Because You got a legal team that said, hey, we want you to be represented by this particular team. They said, no, we choose these people. They said, okay, fine. Or, at least New York Marine said, fine. We don't want any part of this. Then we are going to walk over here and we will watch from afar. Then she does her team. She has her team. Travelers is involved, though. So she finds another, just so I understand this, I'm trying to put it in layman's terms for my own brain. She goes over to Travelers Insurance. They say, fine, we'll back you up. We'll fork over $6 million, right? Pays the team, but then they lose devastatingly bad, right? So then instead, this is the part that makes no sense to me. Why would you go all the way back to New York Marine, same team that said, same insurance company that said, we wash our hands clean of it. You don't want our legal team. You want Elaine and Rottenborn? That is on you. Why would she have the audacity to go over to the insurance company that isn't paying anything and say, hey, give me some monies, fork over $1 million? That makes no sense to me.
So there's two parts to it. So I think the only thing Amber wants from New York Marine is for them to write a check for $1 million to Johnny Depp, because it's $1 million in indemnification or insurance coverage in the event that she has a judgment against her. So all she's asking for is like, hey, write a check for $1 million. And they're saying, hey, it's clear. And I agree with them. There is no insurance for a willful act like this. So we don't owe the $1 million. It's Travelers that's going after New York Marine saying, hey, we paid $6 million to defend in defense costs for Elaine to defend Amber. And they think that New York Marine should contribute half of that money. And Travelers and Amber are saying that this firm that New York Marine had selected had some kind of conflict of interest and was, beholden to the insurance company. But I saw no facts to support that. It's not like this law firm, the McAvoy law firm, works for New York Marine. It's not like they're employees of that firm. They have all types of clients. So I didn't see any facts that would justify why the McAvoy firm would have a conflict of interest. So maybe they know something that we don't, but it's this big old squabble. And in the end of the day is that Johnny Depp's not going to see any money from Travelers or New York Marine because they're not obligated to pay for a loss that was willfully caused by their insured. Mm-hmm. And what happened is that Amber got the benefit of having her legal fees paid by Travelers, which raises this whole other issue. And I don't necessarily fault her for that, because that's what insurance is for. I mean, that's right. Like, kind of a lesson for all of us to think like, maybe we need some more insurance. Maybe we should be getting some of this stuff because, like we could find ourselves getting sued, and it would certainly be nice to have an insurance company step in and say, hey, I got your back.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, I get it. I don't want to give her props, but at the same time, obviously it is the smart route, I guess, the safest route, so that you're not, not everything is getting taken out of your own pocket. But you are right. I mean, we all, outside of lying on the stand and all the other stuff that's been fabricated, we should be tearing a page out of this book, at least this one small sentence out of this, and look into it if we ever are dealing with legal issues as well. But yeah, I'm still trying to understand. Okay, so of course that's why the New York Marine insurance company said, hey, we are suing because we don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. We see that you did this out of malice. We see that you did this willfully. You were trying to destroy this man's career. A jury of your peers finally said, hey, you are guilty. Okay, you are found liable of defamation on this man. Pay the money, right? But then let's look over at Travelers real quick. And I know you tapped on this already, but let's tap on it again. Could they ask for all their money back?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it doesn't look like it. I know of no case in California that would allow for repayment by Amber of the $6 million to Travelers, because the the issue here under insurance is, again, there's a duty to defend a lawsuit, and then there's a duty to pay the judgment if it turns out to be a covered claim. And so the insurance company's on the hook for these defense costs. And I don't know that there's any authority for travelers to come back to say, hey, Amber, it turns out that that's not a covered claim. You owe us the money back. I mean, it would kind of make sense in a way, but I don't know of a case of that. I know she got the policy right around the time of the op-ed. One policy was before and one policy was right after she wrote the op-ed. Some people have speculated, well, maybe she was planning on being sued and got the insurance for that purpose. I don't know that that's true. It's possible that these policies were in effect for 1 or more years in advance and just happened to renew around that time. Again, we don't know, but the insurance company would certainly have an interest if they thought that these policies were procured solely for the purpose of defending against this claim, and she didn't disclose that. They'd be all over that. So they would have every interest in the world to raise that. So if there's any facts to justify it, we figure we will hear about that. One other little footnote on this: Amber didn't invent this. If you look back at a lot of high profile cases, you will see insurance in the shadows. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, the Petitos, the Laundries against the Petitos, insurance involved in all those cases.
Wow.
Because claims are being made saying like, hey, this person did something wrong. And the first thing is if their lawyers are smart and they turn it over to a homeowner's insurance policy or any other kind of insurance that might possibly cover this, and they jam the insurance company saying, hey, this looks like this could be covered under your policy. You have a duty to defend me. Go out and hire a lawyer and pay for that.
But
so not to say they're going to pay the judgment, but they pay the lawyer.
Okay. Yeah. But okay. So you're saying all these bad evildoers. Okay.
Alleged.
Alleged. I'm sorry. Alleged. Sorry. But
at the moment the claim was made, it's alleged. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. At the moment that it is claimed. Okay. Alleged. They're able to go like, you're talking about Weinstein, you're talking about Cosby, you're talking about all these names, right? The Laundries, for crying out loud. How are they getting this? Like, how are they getting an insurance company to back them in any of these salacious type of trials? I mean, that even AH, how are they able to turn to these insurance companies and say, back me, pay my lawyers, etc.? How is that even possible?
That's what insurance is for. Insurance says, we pay a lot of money in insurance, auto insurance, right? I mean, it's like, hey, if you get into an accident, we're going to fix your car. And if you end up hurting somebody, we're going to pay for a lawyer to defend you. And if it turns out that accident is covered, we're going to pay the judgment, all subject to the terms of the policy. That's what it's for. And so like if you invite somebody over your house and your dog bites them, the victim or whatever, the claimant could very well say like, hey, you had a vicious dog. You knew that dog was going to bite me. And this was intentional conduct by you. And the insurance has to defend you. The insurance company can't just say, well, hey, it's being alleged that you harbored this vicious animal that you knew was going to bite everyone who set foot in your house. So therefore we're going to accept that as being true and leave you and not defend you. No, they have to defend, because the homeowner is going to say, I didn't know that was going to happen. It was negligent.
Right.
So it was an accident. So this is why the insurance companies have to pay for lawyers to defend these things. And then at the very end, when there's a jury verdict, then we know, okay, what did the jury say? Was this an accident or was this a knowingly vicious animal? So that's, hey, we got insurance and you pay for it and you get the benefits most of the time. Like myself, I've been on the losing end of all this stuff. I've been carrying insurance for years and fortunately, haven't had much need to use it. I do every once in a while, but for the most part, the insurance companies have done pretty good with me. But it's just something for all of us to think about. And this applies even if you're a renter. You don't need to be a homeowner. If you're a renter, you can go get renter's insurance. So somebody, rips off all your stuff, they're going to potentially cover that. And if your dog bites somebody, or if you end up posting something online that's defamatory and you get sued for it, boom, hook you up with a lawyer, and maybe for like $1,000 a year. I mean, it's something to think about.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's definitely good to think about, because I guess a lot of us don't think about that when it comes to going to trial, right? A fender bender, car accidents, so on and so forth. You get sick, so on and so forth. You have those things. But as far as them, that insurance company fronting and paying for your legal representation, I think that's something a lot of people don't know that they can even do, or that it even exists. So I'm glad that we know that now. But there is something interesting, though, because are we seeing travelers trying to sue AH as well? Or are they just sitting pretty right now and just kind of waiting in the shadows before they
So
bounce?
that may be coming. Okay, so
Oh,
right now they're aligned with each other, and they've done really well by her. Like I say, I may look into Travelers myself, because that $6 million, she probably paid them $2,000 for that policy, and she got $6 million in benefits. So, but hey, the train's coming to an end, and so one question is the appeal. Amber is definitely going to file an appeal, and so she's going to hit Travelers up for it, and Travelers may be at a point where it's saying like, hey, you know what, we carried you this far, but your appeal has no merit, and we're not going to fund something that has no merit. So they may have a fight there. But they've come this far. My guess is they're not going to want to tangle with her over that, because she'll definitely turn around and sue them and say this is a great appeal. So my guess is they're going to fund the appeal. And
interesting.
but then eventually, and I think she's going to most likely lose the appeal, because statistically, most people lose their appeals. They're very difficult to reverse something.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, maybe we fast forward 2 years and we can come back on the show and see like, hey, she lost the appeal. She
Yeah.
owes the 10.35 million with interest. She's going to go to Travelers and say, pay Johnny whatever the $1 million or whatever the insurance benefit is. And Travelers is going to say, nope, not happening. And then they may get into one of these declaratory relief lawsuits where it's like, who's right here, judge?
But why aren't they doing that now? Like, I mean, if they're already seeing New York Marine already, a lawsuit has already been filed. They are literally trying to sever their ties from AH, because they realize that what she
Yeah.
did was she was found guilty on. So what's the point of trying to help her even further? So they're trying to cut ties. So why isn't another insurance company that she has under her wing, like Travelers, not following in suit?
So they don't need to right now, because the judgment isn't completely final. I mean, it's final in terms of, hey, the jury has spoken and a judgment's been entered, but the right to appeals time period still is open. It's coming close to ending, but she will file a notice of appeal. My guess is Travelers is going to continue defending that. There's the issue of collection on this, so if and I doubt she's going to get any kind of appellate bond to stay enforcement. So what this means is she has the right to appeal. And I know there's been a lot of stuff on the internet about she has to post the entire judgment to file an appeal. That's not true.
Yeah.
For very minimal amount of money, she can file the appeal, but Johnny would be able to collect or try to enforce the 10.35 million against her while the appeal is running. So she only has to post this big bond for the entire amount if she wants to stop Johnny from trying to raid her bank accounts, put liens on her account, all that kind of stuff. So so Travelers may get into a point where Amber's demanding and saying like, hey, Johnny's going to raid my bank account. You need to pay this $1 million or whatever. And Travelers, I would think, is going to put their foot down at that point and saying like, we ain't covering. We're going to defend you until the end of day, but we're not going to ever pay a judgment that, at least as of now, the jury has said was caused by actual malice. We're just not doing it.
I mean, at some point, the it's going to break at some point. They're going to break. They're going to go, hey, enough is enough. We can't do this anymore. We do not want to support this or represent, support you in your constant, relentless appeals, right? And at some point the money's gonna dry out. I mean, in my own personal opinion. But we got to hop over to this next piece here because there's a part here that I'm very curious about. I saw this on the twits. Okay, I call it the twits. All right. Yeah, follow me on the twits, okay, guys? And please follow my brother here, Christopher Melcher, on Twitter as well. It is at CA_Melcher. Please follow him on on Twitter. He has some really, really great information out there, some threads that you will not even believe. Trust me, that go into, he deep dives into it so well. And so please go check him out. Follow him. It is at CA_Melcher. Okay.
It's actually divorce, but yeah, it's close.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I should have picked that actually, but yeah.
No, that's good too. But I'm so sorry, guys. Again, at CA divorce. Okay. So again, at CA_divorce. Follow him over there on Twitter. Trust me, you will thank me later because trust me, he's got so much information. Okay. One more time, at CA_divorce. Okay. My apologies for that mess up, my brother. You don't deserve that. Okay. But here it is, guys. This is something that I found interesting. I saw this on Twitter. This is just one thing I saw on the twits. This is just one of many that's been shared quite a bit. And it's something that I found I have to ask my brother, Mr. Melcher here, because I got a lot of questions around this one. Okay. So of course, in this tweet, all right, it says, Amber, under oath, I didn't fulfill my donation because legal fees. Then it says, Amber's insurance company, that's a lie, like we're on Maury Povich. Side note, how ridiculous does Elaine sound using the word donation instead of pledge? Elaine misrepresented facts in open court to help her client lie. So here's this video. I just wanted to show it to you guys really, really quick. Caught in 4K. I mean, or in 720p, because they were streaming in 720p. That's just a nerd thing, just so you guys know, geeking out. But anyway, caught in Technicolor, y'all. Hear from the horse's mouth.
And have you completely fulfilled your donations to the ACLU and the Children's Hospital?
I have not yet.
And why not?
And I have spent over $6 million.
Objection, Your Honor.
I pledged the entirety.
But you didn't donate it.
Unfortunately,
You didn't donate it. It's a yes or no.
I haven't been able to to fulfill those.
So that's a no,
obligations.
right, Ms. Heard?
I made the pledge. I want to be very clear. I pledged the entirety. I haven't been able to fulfill those pledges because I've been sued.
You had all of the $7 million for 13 months before Mr. Depp sued you, and you chose not to pay it to the charities you pledged it to.
Okay, so you hear that, right? She is claiming that because she was in this lawsuit with JD, that she was not able to fulfill said pledges, donations, pledges. What are your thoughts on this? Because clearly the insurance company, at least Travelers, I would assume, since they're the one flipping the bill, I feel like they would be livid reliving this video or reliving this moment or even seeing it live with her actually lying through her teeth, saying something that isn't true. If she was being backed $6 million by Travelers, then where did her money go?
Yeah, it's, and the jury doesn't know anything about the insurance. That was kept out. And Camille Vasquez had objected to some of this testimony and mentioned this thing called a motion in limine. And that's a fancy term for a ruling that the court makes before a trial starts on a particular evidentiary question. So what's commonplace in trials is to have a pretrial ruling that there will be no mention of insurance. Because if you're being sued and the jury hears that you have insurance coverage, the fear is that the jury would say, well, hey, I'll go ahead and issue a verdict in favor of the plaintiff because this defendant has insurance, and I don't, and I know it's going to be paid, and who cares about the insurance companies? So we'll just let this verdict go really big. So for that reason, we keep references of insurance out. So there would have been Elaine on behalf of Amber would have said, "Hey, judge, I want no mention of insurance at all." And Johnny's team probably came back and said, "Well, okay, that's true. Don't mention insurance, but you also can't mention anything about the attorney's fees that were paid through the insurance." My guess is they had some kind of discussion like that before trial. And then here Amber is trying to cover up for the prior lie that she made about the donation. So if everyone's not familiar with that, when she got the $7 million settlement from Johnny in their divorce, she went out and told the world, like, I wanted nothing from Johnny. I didn't need his money. It was never about Johnny. She did that because she looked horrible with the restraining order and thing that she did to him. So she was trying to really rehabilitate herself in the eyes of the public by saying, like, hey, I'm a really good person. I didn't need this money. It was never a financial shakedown at all. And I can prove that because I gave away the $7 million to the ACLU and Children's Hospital of LA. Well, we know that that's false. And when she was being questioned about that, and by the way, it makes no sense. And this goes to her personality issues, is that if, look, she got 7 million from Johnny. That was the most amount of money she's ever seen in her life. She had some Aquaman dough, but she got to pay taxes and agents and attorneys and living expenses. Basically, she had $7 million. If you're worth $7 million, which is a lot of money for sure, you don't give away $7 million. That's your entire net worth. You would be back to zero. Nobody in their right mind would do that. So it's this fantasiful, overblown, like, look at me kind of thing. So that tells you something that she would claim it. And of course, she didn't pay much of any of that money. And then when she's being pressed at trial to saying, hey, you went on, this world media tour telling everyone that you had gave away $7 million, but in fact, you had not. She then tries to come up with a second lie to saying, well, of course, I could give away that money because I was preparing to write the check. Johnny sues me. Now I need to defend myself. So I'm going to hold my money. And this trial has cost $6 million. And she said, I quote, I paid $6 million. Well, we know Travelers has admitted under oath in the lawsuit between itself and New York Marine that it paid $6 million. Travelers paid it, not her. Sure, it was her insurance company that did it, but she did not write the check, didn't spend a dime of that money.
Not one damn dime. So then that's the thing that I keep asking. This is what I asked on the pop-up yesterday as well, is then where's the $7 million at then? And I get it, like holding on to the money. I get that piece. But then say that. Then say, hey, I was holding it because I was worried about X, Y, and Z. Don't lie. Commit perjury on the stand, basically saying, oh yeah, no, I had the money, but I didn't put out the money because of legal fees. No, if your insurance company is spending the monies and backing you up, then say that. And then, of course, cut the ACLU and that Children's Hospital a decent check to show proof positive that you are actually making actual donations, not a pledge, but actual donations. You see, that's the issue. So then this is the other question I have for you. I got to, there's a few more questions I have for you. Now that we saw that video, she was on stand. She was lying. Can she be found guilty of perjury in this particular situation, even in this just one small moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, and her attorney also in closing arguments said the same thing. Now, look, I don't think that there's any chance of that. We rarely see perjury prosecutions coming out of a trial. And it's because, now we have a case about a case, and it's just like there's not a lot of appetite for it. So very few and far between that we see these things. Even if they did try and prosecute, she would have some kind of defense, not a great one, but basically to say, well, in a way, it's kind of true that I paid the $6 million because I used the insurance benefits that I paid for to get the $6 million paid to Elaine. So in a way that I paid it. So, she can play the legal fiction game and argue that. So I don't think there's a prosecution happening from that. And the jury, fortunately, was not swayed by it. Because that would be much more difficult for me to process had we seen, these misstatements happen and then the jury potentially believing it and finding in her favor. So even after the lie, the jury still said, no, didn't believe her.
So, okay. So then that part, okay, with Amber, but you did mention something that Elaine, even in her closing arguments, said things that weren't true. Could she be disbarred? Could she be charged with perjury as well? I mean, what could she be held accountable for lying even in her closing arguments? Because that's a new one for me. That's actually a new one for me. I've never heard that before.
So Elaine said in closing, and there's a clip of it where she's saying, Amber paid $6 million. Well, Elaine certainly knows that that's false, because Elaine got paychecks from the insurance company. I mean, these were not written by Amber's personal, like checking account. She got Traveler's dough. So she knows exactly who paid her. And she would certainly know about the lawsuits with these insurance companies because she was, basically named in these things as a witness that she was the chosen counsel over the McAvoy firm. So she knows all that stuff. And now she isn't under oath. So only witnesses who, kind of take the stand, take an oath, can be charged with perjury. So these are arguments that she's stating or representations that she's making in court. Lawyers have an obligation to tell the truth. And if they don't, they could be disciplined by the Bar Association. Also, we don't see a whole lot of enforcement over there, unfortunately. So again, I don't have high hopes of anything like that happening. Elaine would probably try to come back and say, hey, there is that little snippet of testimony that we heard. Amber on the stand, I paid $6 million. Now, it wasn't clear to me when I was trying to look through the actual trial testimony whether that was ever stricken from the record. Okay, very, very technical stuff we're talking here. But when the witness says something on the stand, that's in evidence. Okay, so that's good to go for any lawyers to put their spin on however they want to explain that evidence in closing argument because it's in evidence. So Elaine could do that as long as the court hadn't stricken it. And that's the part I wasn't clear about. Did the court ever go back and say, hey, jury, you are to disregard the statement that Amber just made about having paid the $6 million? If the judge didn't do that, well, technically we have testimony by a witness under oath in a court proceeding that she paid $6 million. That gives the right of the lawyer to argue that. Again, these are things why people hate lawyers. I get it.
Well, they get paid to be hated, right? Hey, heavy is the head that lies the crown, right? And the responsibility of defending somebody like, some of these people that you have to defend, my brother, I'm sure it's a job, right? It's a job. But I do want to pull this up here really, really quick because this is, I think this is the video in which Elaine talks about the donations. I just wanted to have you guys hear this right quick. So take a listen, y'all.
If you do the math, Amber is entitled to at least 31.5. What does she take? $7 million. What does she do with the $7 million? She gives it to charity, or she intends to give it to charity. Now,
wouldn't that be right there a moment of lie? Right there, right off the top. I mean, we're not even 15 seconds in, baby, and she's already lying. I'm going to play a little bit more, but that's right off the bat. She is full on lying, with her Karen haircut. Let's move on.
They make much ado about the pledge versus donation, but both the corporate designees for ACLU and for Children's Hospital said donation and pledge are interchangeable. These are pledges. The ACLU corporate designee said you typically do pledges because of the tax benefits, and that's what she said. She pledged it over a period of time because of the tax implications to it and because she was getting paid over the time. Now, she started to make these donations, and you'll see that the first one was on behalf of Mr. Depp's business manager, Mr. White, actually sent the letters with the $100,000 for each of those. That was the initial ones. He was trying to take credit for those, and in fact, both the ACLU and Children's Hospital got confused and gave the credit to Mr. Depp, not to Amber, for those. Then she made payments to both, and Elon Musk also made payments to both for $500,000 each, which she didn't count to her pledge, but they helped those organizations.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, she's breaking down all the other monies that came to the organizations and to the hospital and all that. But at the same time, the very beginning of it all, she full on lied. Now, one thing I will say, and this is why I got my brother Christopher Melcher on the show. Okay, I do have to ask you, when her speaking right now, her speaking on behalf of what her client has told her, right? Would that still be garnered as her lying, or would it be her actually just reiterating what her client has said? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, Elaine is the agent of Amber, so
Disaster.
they're responsible here for what your lawyer says, and what she's doing is just destroying Amber's case. I think, because when I'm listening, I'm just cringing, because I know, when having listened to all this trial, that what she is saying is just not accurate, and so she's destroying her credibility. And that's the thing is that we have as lawyers, hopefully, when we're basically spokespeople, we go in, we have all these horrible facts, and we go in there and dress them up, and we try and spin it, and we tell a story and to the jury and hope to persuade them. And the only way we can persuade somebody is if they trust us enough to listen to us. And if they're turned off, like I'm immediately turned off listening to this stuff because I know it's not true, then I'm like, I ain't listening to your story. I don't like your story. So she's harming her client in that regard. We know from the facts that when they settled, Ed White, the business manager, went ahead and started paying the money that Amber said she was going to donate. And Amber's attorney immediately objected, saying, well, hey, you gave that money away. That's Johnny's money. We're not counting that. And Ed White wanted to pay it because he had suspicions that Amber wouldn't pay it. So he's like, I want to make sure these charities start getting their money. So he started paying the settlement proceeds towards the charitable donations. And eventually Amber agreed, okay, I'll take that off or credit that towards the $7 million. But initially it was like, hey, we didn't agree to you paying that. That's Johnny's donation. So now Elaine's saying the opposite. No. This was what Amber wanted. No, Amber didn't want that to happen. So it's just, again, it ruins the credibility. Not like she's going to go to jail over this, but it just destroys her opportunity to access the minds of these jurors and saying, hey, would you listen to what could have been a decent story in Amber's defense? But we don't even get to hear the decent story because we're clouded with all the lies.
This is so crazy. We're going to play a little bit more of this video because she apparently says more at the tail end of this video. But real quick, doesn't she look like she has a haircut like she's part of the Knights of the Round Table? Nobody? Look like she's part of King Arthur's Knight? Okay, never mind. Moving on. We're going to get to the rest of this video.
At the end of the day, she's made $1 million in payments to them, but then she got sued here and hasn't been able to because she spent $6 million in attorney's fees. That is unrefuted. She still intends to pay those pledges, honor those pledges, and she said that throughout. And I elicited from both the ACLU and from Children's Hospital, they haven't expired. She can pay them whenever she wants to, and she fully intends to, but she has to get out from under this first. Now, who would blame a woman for giving $1 million in charitable donations? Who would do that? That sounds like psychological abuse to me. Now, Mr. Mandel testified that Johnny Depp is not a charitable person and he hasn't written any big checks for him. Mr. Depp got on the stand and says he does it anonymously, but Mr. Mandel would have been the one writing the checks.
Okay.
He says that didn't happen.
Okay. Yeah. It's birdshot. I'm sorry. Her closing arguments was like, wow. It was like a high school gossip, drama queen girl just trying to say, and she said, and then never mind. We already went through all this BS before. Okay. But the question I still would love to know is, right off the bat, she said in the very beginning, and I'm sure she says it later on in other videos too, because she was repeating herself a lot during her closing arguments, and one of them was basically saying like, oh, that Amber donated the money, and you can't refute that. Now the thing is that that's not true. We already know that is not true, and the fact that she is saying, oh, because I had to use this money to pay for my legal team, we are now knowing that is not true as well. So outside of her being hit with perjury, what are the chances of actual Elaine getting disbarred for this snippet of what we just saw, this birdshot cluster F of a closing argument?
Well, none. I mean, it's just unfortunately the way that bar discipline, attorney discipline has worked is that they have rarely gotten involved in conduct that's occurred during court proceedings, other than when, like the court sanctions a lawyer. So if the court says, hey, I am finding that this lawyer lied, the judge will refer that many times over to the state bar, and the state bar will take it from there. But they're usually not going to get involved in looking at clips and transcripts and figuring all this stuff out. It's too complicated for them. And most of the bar discipline comes from that first instance where the judge says, hey, this lawyer just lied to me. I'm referring it to the state bar. The second is when you steal client money. And we saw that with this Girardi guy out here in Los Angeles, because that's easy. You've got bank records. You're holding money for a client. You got to distribute to the client, and then it winds up in your personal bank account. That's easy enough for the bar to understand. Mm-hmm. So they do the low hanging fruit. They're not going to go do these exotic ones where they got to go figure all this stuff out and listen to defenses. So again, probably more of a failure of the profession, not as to trying to defend anything that Elaine's done. But we're not going to see anything out of that. The damage, though, was to reputation. And again, had maybe it was McAvoy would have won the case. Maybe we don't know. Maybe the New York Marine lawyer would have won this case for Amber.
Right.
It was a winnable case. It's actually a very difficult case for Johnny to win. Legally speaking, extraordinarily difficult for him to win this case. And I think Amber lost it more than Johnny won it. It was because she lied, because her counsel was so terrible, Elaine, that she lost this case. And had she had better counsel, it could have turned out different.
Yeah, I really do think that too. I think that if it was McAvoy or any other team, to be really honest, I think that she would have had more of a fighting chance. Because I kept wondering why McAvoy, let's just say, was not the team that she chose. What was it? What is it about Elaine and her team that was more attractive to Amber? And I said it in the pop-up video before, but I'll say it again. I keep thinking, like, was Elaine willing to do the dirty work, get dirty? Whereas McAvoy and their team, maybe not, or any other team, it just seems interesting that you would not take a strong, solid team that's going to be backed by an insurance company that's saying, hey, use this team. They're really good,
Yeah.
And for her to sit there and go, no, I'm going over here. I'm taking in Sir Elaine real quick. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So when I looked up Elaine's qualifications on paper, she looks really good. I mean, she's
Whoa.
involved in, speaking and writing as I do, to other lawyers. We have this continuing education, so she's done a ton of that.
Mhm.
So she's got quite a good resume. And so on paper, it's like, wow, this looks like a good lawyer. In court, she's a total disaster. Now, my suspicion is that there was an interview where Amber talked to Elaine, and Elaine told Amber everything she wanted to hear. You're the victim. I can't believe this is happening to you, all that stuff. And that to an unsophisticated client or one who's very shallow and can't really understand the nuances of things figures, well, this must be a good lawyer because they're telling me everything I want to hear. And it's actually not the lawyer you want. To me, because this is my life. It's you kind of want the lawyer that disagrees with you at times and willing to tell you like, hey, you look really horrible here.
Yeah.
Because even if Amber had the best lawyer in the world, she still had Amber. Amber's testimony is what killed it for me. Because when I was listening to that trial, I was like, okay, I could see kind of the back and forth. Once Amber took the stand, I was like, whoa, even before cross-examination, whoa, total disaster, unbelievable person. And so even if Amber would have went with the Bicavoy counsel, she would have had to listen to that lawyer and saying like, basically, look, you could have a solid defense here, but you could also destroy it by lying, and call her out on that stuff and force her to be honest, because the kind of truth shall set you free is a true statement in many cases, and one lie is enough to destroy your reputation forever. So I don't know that anyone could have ever gotten through to her. And she went up on that stand, and she's so smart, and she thinks she's going to do all this. She destroyed her case single-handedly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all this is because of her decisions and her decisions alone. Obviously, it sounds like from what you said, it makes sense that you would want a lawyer that's going to challenge you, a little bit of pushback, because that's what it's going to be like when you have the opposing team cross-examining you, right? They're going to sit there and ask you all the heavy questions. They're going to sit there and naysay everything that comes out of your mouth. So it is good to have that kind of esquire in your corner that's willing to not only, of course, be passionate about your case, have your back, but also push back when they need to push back, so that you stay in line and stay on point. This whole thing is an absolute cluster F, y'all. In my personal opinion, especially with all these different insurance companies and whatnot, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens as far as if these insurance companies are going to sit there and go, especially Travelers, if they're going to sit there and say, the $6 million that we just gave you, you lost. And now we see that you are trying to finesse other insurance companies when we were the ones that flipped the bill. We want our money back. You never know. That could very well happen around the bend. And of course, we are seeing more and more truths within the trial. And I've said it before during this whole testimony, more and more of these lies are going to start coming out, sticking out like a sore thumb. And I'll tell you what, I'm here for it, Chris. I'm here for it. Christopher, thank you so very much for being on with me today. I really appreciate it. It's nice to have somebody who knows the law like you do, hopping on and chopping it up with me, little old me, and my beautiful family. So I really do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, anytime. Love it.
Of course. Please, guys, again, please go over to his Twitter. Follow him right now, CA_divorce. Again, at CA_divorce. Follow him on Twitter. Trust me, you will thank me later. Also, it looks like we're going to be on a little bit later on today. I'll put a post out just so you guys know this evening, because we got to talk about this whole, speaking of Twitter, we got to talk about this whole thing that's going on between Twitter and Elon Musk, the Rocket Man. We got to talk about it. Looks like he's going to get sued by Twitter. Like, am I correct, Chris? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, that's looks like that's going down, and there's a lot to. It's a very interesting story to see how both sides are playing that. So very interesting stuff going on.
Yes, so we will be on tonight, 5 p.m. your time. Is that good for you?
Yeah, I could do 5:30.
Let's do 5:30.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're You're Central.
Yes.
So
but
5.
5 your
3.
time. Yes.
I'm sorry. You tell me in Pacific.
Yeah, 5 your time.
Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. So my time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be on live to do a deep dive into Rocket Man versus Twitter, y'all. He had a huge multi-billion-dollar deal going on with Twitter. And then yesterday, if I'm correct, wasn't it yesterday he pulled out? It was yesterday, I think, right?
Yeah, it's been clear that deal's been on the rocks. And so now they're calling it, and they're gonna be in litigation. But I think there's a little bit of a play going on. We'll break that down.
This is so weird, and I don't get it. If a deal doesn't go through, why would one side of the deal, one entity on the side of the deal suddenly sue them for not making the deal go through? It seems weird. It seems really, really weird. It's like, I don't know, forcing a person to go out on a date with you. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. If they don't want to do it, if they don't want to dance with you, they don't want to dance with you. So this is going to be very interesting. We're going to be doing a deep dive on that tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So be here, right here on the Pascal Show. We are going to be breaking down that Rocket Man versus Twitter supposed lawsuit that's coming around the corner. So anyway, Christopher, again, thank you very, very much for being on, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Guys, I got to jump off. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It was a wonderful one. I got a couple super chats, it looks like, that's coming in here really quick. I want to say, Berenice, thank you so much for the 5. I really do appreciate it. Let's see. I got another super chat in here. Strategic, what's up, man? What's up, my brother? Okay. Been loving what you've been doing out there on your channel. Keep up the great work. And then, of course, Jasmine Rose Comer, thank you so much for the 3.5 pounds. I really do appreciate it. Okay. But tune in tonight. Okay. We're going to be breaking down that Rocket Man versus Twits. Insane. Okay. And if you haven't done it yet, before you get going, okay, simple stuff. Few things. I know it's a lot to ask, but hey, go hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your damn name. Okay. Be greatly appreciated. All right. Don't forget to hit that like button. All right. Send those likes all the way up. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay. Hit that subscribe button. Just do it. Okay. We're almost at 71,000 subscribers. 71,000 subscribers. It's amazing. I appreciate all y'all's supports and stuff. We got another show tonight, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You want to tune in for that because we got to talk about the Rocket Man and the Twitters and how Twitter's even suing them, and why is that even possible? We got to talk about it, okay? So be sure to tune in, okay? Check out my merch. Check out my Patreon. It's in the ticker right down there. Got the Cash App as well. And, of course, hit that join button if you just want to support the channel. I really, really, really appreciate it, okay, guys? Whew, can't even talk anymore. It's time to get going, guys. I love all y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. Talk to y'all soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.